Stephanie White is officially on the hot seat, and the panic is starting to set in. The Indiana Fever have made a series of organizational moves that signal a fundamental shift in how the franchise is operating around its head coach. The microscope isn't just on the court anymore. Every decision White makes, in the film room, on the sideline, and in front of the media, is being monitored, evaluated, and reported directly to ownership. One wrong move, one bad substitution, or one more comment about hero ball, and the era of Stephanie White in Indiana is over before it ever really began. White arrived as head coach ahead of the 2025 WNBA season, hired in November 2024, with a defined mandate to build a winning system around Caitlin Clark, the most watched player to enter the WNBA in the league's history. What followed was a year in which the Indiana Fever's offense consistently failed to reflect Clark's skill set. Clark dealt with injuries throughout the season, the roster was mismanaged, the system White installed appeared built for a different team entirely, not one centered on a high-volume shooter and elite playmaker. The front office observed and extended patience. That period of patience has now formally ended. The fracture between White and franchise leadership began with a specific set of public comments. She stated her intention to build the team around Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is a capable, experienced guard, but when Caitlin Clark is on the roster, the franchise's primary building block is not a debatable topic. Making that statement publicly while Clark was still finding her rhythm signaled a disconnect between the coach's stated vision and the organizational direction already in place. Reports indicate the front office reacted with significant internal frustration. That reaction marked the beginning of a deteriorating relationship between White and team leadership. The next critical breaking point came during the Indiana Fever's game against the New York Liberty. Clark was actively pulling the team back into the game through aggressive, high-volume scoring. White sat on the sideline with arms folded, visibly frustrated, and publicly characterized Clark's performance as hero ball. In the same season, other players on the roster took 25 shots in a single game without receiving comparable criticism from the coaching staff. That double standard hasn't been unnoticed by the fans, the media, or the people who actually run the Indiana Fever organization. You can't punish your best player for being great while giving role players a pass for being mediocre and expect to keep your job. The broader pattern of mismanagement ran deeper than these individual moments. Clark was deployed at small forward throughout portions of the season, a position that reduced her effectiveness as a perimeter shooter and primary ball handler. Aari McDonald, a guard who entered the season without a roster spot after being cut by the LA Sparks, received disproportionate ball handling responsibilities over the team's franchise player. Role players consistently operated with more freedom and shot volume than the player the entire organization was built around. When your generational talent is being used as a decoy or standing in the corner while role players take contested shots, the front office is going to start asking questions that you don't want to answer. The partnership between Clark and Aliyah Boston, which the franchise viewed as the competitive foundation of its future, was never developed into a consistent, structured offensive system. In professional sports, squandering years of a rookie contract is treated as a serious organizational failure. The Indiana Fever front office holds that position without exception. Ownership then became directly involved. Reports surfaced that the owner's son stepped in personally to address the situation. That level of intervention does not occur inside an organization where the coaching staff and front office are operating in alignment. It occurs when the people writing the checks conclude their investment is being mishandled. The Indiana Fever aren't just a basketball team anymore. They are a global brand thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect. Ticket revenue, jersey sales, and national media coverage have all expanded significantly since Clark joined the roster. A coaching structure that fails to maximize Clark's on-court impact does not merely affect wins and losses, it puts the full commercial value of the franchise at measurable risk. The Indiana Fever then made their most consequential organizational move, returning Lin Dunn to the coaching structure with the official designation of coaching consultant. Lin Dunn has been affiliated with the Indiana Fever since 2003. She won the franchise's only WNBA championship in 2012 as head coach, compiling a franchise best record of 119-85. She had been operating in an executive and senior advisory role, but was sidelined when the new front office installed White. When you bring in a legend with decades of experience to just consult, unless you think the current leadership is failing to meet the mark, her return to the floor level is not a ceremonial role. It's essentially a shadow coach situation, and everyone in the building knows exactly why she's there. If White makes a single misstep with this franchise's future, Dunn is already there to point it out to the owners immediately. The professional implications of this arrangement for White are direct and severe. A sitting head coach being actively overseen by a consultant is a public signal that the employer lacks full confidence in the head coach's capacity to manage the job independently. Lin Dunn has a reporting line that runs directly to ownership. Every practice session, every film room meeting, and every post-game press conference is now part of a monitored environment where the sole standard being measured is how effectively the coaching staff is developing Clark and building a system that serves the team's two cornerstone players. White is not operating with the benefit of private deliberation. Every professional decision she makes carries immediate organizational consequences. A structured power struggle has formed from this arrangement. The front office that originally hired White is now watching her defend her offensive philosophy in high-level internal meetings. Lin Dunn is reportedly present and active in those sessions. White is fighting for her professional life in rooms where her replacement is already sitting at the table, taking notes on everything she does wrong. The internal consensus that once supported the coaching staff has fractured. The broader staff is now operating under the awareness that any visible misalignment with the franchise's direction gets reported upward without delay. The writing isn't just on the wall, it's being shouted from the rooftops of the arena. White is coaching without the standard grace period most coaches receive at this level. The championship window with this specific core, Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and a supporting roster assembled to compete, is open now, not in 2 or 3 years. Every preventable loss and every disjointed rotation chips away at that window. The dominant narrative across sports media that White is failing Clark carries direct consequences for sponsorship conversations, ticket sales, and national brand positioning. The organization has a stated commercial and competitive interest in controlling that narrative. They will not allow their head coach to remain the central figure of a damaging story that puts the franchise's most valuable asset in a negative context. The path forward for White requires structural, not surface-level changes. The offensive system must be rebuilt around Clark's profile as a shooter, playmaker, and driving offensive force. The hero ball characterization must be retired from the coaching vocabulary permanently. The Clark-Boston partnership must become the first priority of every game plan, every film session, and every practice design. The application of consistent standards between stars and role players in terms of shot volume and operational freedom is no longer optional. It is a baseline requirement. The job isn't just to win games, it's to win games specifically by maximizing the talent of number 22. Lin Dunn is already embedded in the program and positioned to step into a larger role without any operational disruption the moment the decision is made. If she can't get out of her own way, the organization will move her out of the way themselves. The upcoming WNBA season will produce a definitive answer on whether Stephanie White meets the standard or whether the Indiana Fever move forward without her.
That's all for now. Like and follow for more.